Well, I'm on here because I've just realised that January marks the 5 year anniversary of me being here on this park. It's 5 years. So I have lived in a caravan straight for 5 years. So, and prior to that, I've lived in other caravans and staff accommodation. So when it was my birthday in September, I was celebrating 10 years being in Scotland, and out of those 10 years, I have lived in a house for about a year, and the rest of the time has been alternative living. So, vans, tent, car, staff accommodation, which was a couple of flats. I did a house rental, and what else did, static caravan. I have lived quite an alternative life. It's quite funny, really. But you know, in the last 10 years, I've not paid council tax, water. I'm just going to say I wasn't paying gas and electric, but I actually do pay electric. But my electric bill's quite low because I use fairy lights, and my cooker is gas, and I do buy the gas bottle. So my bills are still low compared to a house, though. So when you think about it, I don't think you can get fully out of the system, but you can nearly do it. And I think I've done pretty well, considering it's 10 years. And I was just thinking today about that, and I thought, if you've done like 5 years in one place, you've done really well there. So yeah, I'm really chuffed. And going back in time and doing some retrospect now, going back in time when I lived in my house, so that was 10 years ago, and I remember thinking, this is all you can do, is rent or mortgage a house or a flat. And I had no concept of a different life. And when I got the call in to come to Scotland, I came here, and I had no idea where it was going to go, because I came here on my own with 2 dogs and a car, and I didn't even have any furniture. I had nothing. And I moved originally 10 years ago. I moved in with my ex in Scotland, and as soon as I moved in with him, it went completely disastrous, and I left within a few weeks. And then I ended up getting a house on Ling, on the island, and I moved there with nothing, and I started all over again. But I lived there very cheap. In fact, I was just looking at some old emails from there, and it was a beautiful house, 2 bedrooms on its own on the top of a hill, and the rent was £395 a month for a detached house. Absolutely stunning. I don't know what the rent would be now on that. So it was cheap even then. So I lived there and then moved inland with Paul, because Paul became my best friend 10 years ago. We're no longer best friends. We're still mates, but it's not the same. It's just not. Something changed a few years ago with that. But we're still in touch with each other because of the dogs and everything. But yeah, I ended up doing a few years adventuring with him, and it was always seemed to be disastrous. Every time we hung around together, it always went wrong. And I think when there's 2 people and you both got different mindsets about how things should be, then it can be an absolute disaster if you get caught in the wrong place. Because there are times when we were together, I would have just left that day, and there were times when I'd have stayed and he wanted to leave. So we put each other in perilous positions at times, because one of us didn't want what the other one wanted. And so there was a lot of compromises made, which made things harder. So it's actually easier for me to be by myself, because if another situation came along now, something really positive, I mean, I can't think what could happen now to make life any better, to be honest, because I'm already in the location that I love. And that's part of the big picture, isn't it? You know, we all want to be where we want to be, and if you could picture yourself being anywhere in the world and you're already there, then you've achieved something massive. You know, a lot of people spend their whole life hoping and wishing that they can have something better, and I've got the the perfect location. I would even say that my van is perfect as well, because there's only me in it, and I don't have to worry about anybody else, so I don't need a bigger place. If I had a family, a partner, I would have to have something bigger than this. It wouldn't work. But for one person living alone in a van this size, I think it's plenty big enough. The only things I do miss are things like my sewing machine up and my piano and making orgonite and things like that. I do miss that kind of stuff, but not enough to say, well, I'd rather go and rent a house and have those things back. I wouldn't want to do that. And when I see how people are struggling now, I think I am so lucky, because I went shopping yesterday. I spent £160 on food, but I spent all evening and all afternoon cooking yesterday, and I made 4 portions of quiche. I made about 12 buns, which I make with cowca and cowca nibs and things like that. I made curry and another dish which doesn't have a name, but I've made about 20 meals, and I've got other food as well in the cupboard, so I am really lucky. I won't need to go shopping for at least, well, for main shopping for about a month. I've got enough food in the freezer for about a month, so I consider myself really, really lucky, even though I'm on a minimum wage job, because I don't have to pay rent and I'm not paying council tax and things like this. My cost of living is really low, and because I am happy to have old things, like an old van, the van's 20 odd years old, it's adequate. I don't need something really expensive in my life, and I don't need to have designer things, and I don't need to have jewellery and things that cost money. My car is 20 odd years old, and my car insurance for the full year was £196 for a full year. My daughter has just given up her car, and hers was £250 a month for the insurance, and on top of that she had to pay for the car itself because it was on finance. My car was paid for cash. I would rather drive an old banger and wear old clothes and live in an old van and have money in my pocket than try and look something better than what I do and show off to the world that I've got all these things, because they don't mean nothing. It's just material, isn't it? And a warm van's a warm van. And if you've ever lived in a car or a tent or somewhere cold or somebody's couch or something like that, this is actual luxury. And there are people out there who won't settle for anything less than a beautiful house and designer clothes and the hair perfect and things like that. And I think it's quite sad, because the pressure to keep something like that for some people is astronomical, and it means they're having to sacrifice and really push themselves to get it, and I'm lazy. I'd rather just do a job that you don't have to think about. Just do it. Just do the job. Then come home, put your feet up in a warm van that you can afford to live in, and just enjoy your life and all the simple things in life. It's like today, I went for a ride in the car with the doggies, and we went to a forest, and there was nobody there. And as I was walking through the forest, I'm thinking, I was just so lucky to live in a place like this. There's no crowds, and there's no stress and pressure from other people, because you get left alone. And if you want to be a hermit up here, that's fine, because there's quite a lot of people like me up here. I know quite a few people, who don't want anything to do with society, and they've just switched off from it all, and they just want to be left alone, and that's where I am. And you just want niche people, like people you connect with, and it's got to be the right people. But when you meet them, it's great because you're vibing on the same levels, and you get on really well, and that's when life's great then. But at the moment, I'm like, I've still got nice acquaintances, and that's how I like people to stay, to be honest, because I like to come home alone and just be by myself. It can be too much, and sometimes you can get cabin fever. That's why it's important I go out and join my clubs. So tomorrow I'm going out for a meal with some friends, so that'll break up things for me, but that's all I need. But when I'm looking at my life and I'm thinking, my van is in the same location as houses that cost £1 million, and I'm living next door to those people, looking at the same view as them. So if they look at me and go, oh, she just lives in a van, I don't care, because to me we're all equals. We've all got the same experience. And I've said this before, but like if I go out on a ferry ride or I go kayaking, I'm still on the same sea as a luxury yacht. And I might not be on the luxury yacht, but I'm having the same kind of experience as them. I'm seeing the same as them. So to me, appreciating where you are, if it's the right place for you, it matters more than how you live. And they do say this, don't they, with housing. It's better to have the worst house on a wonderful neighbourhood than the best house in a horrible place. It's I'm living my best life. It's boring at the moment because it's winter and everything feels I think the days just feel too long. Even though I do love winter, the days do feel long, and so you feel like you've got to try and pack everything into a few hours in a day. Whereas if it was a nice long day, I'd be sat outside now in the sunshine and watching the world go by. I could do some kayaking or whatever, but I just thought I'd come on and say that for these last 10 years of my life, even though I've mostly felt alone and I've gone through some great hardships and stuff, I've also had some really great experiences, and I've met some amazing people as well. And I found a niche way to live that's took so much stress out of my life. I don't even need to worry about stuff like, if my car broke down now and they said it's written off, I can afford to go and buy a new car, an old car, because I don't need anything flash. And if my van broke, I could replace it for a couple of grand. How many people could replace a house or a really nice car or something, if they lost their jobs and stuff, or they was on a low income? So I actually feel really blessed and lucky to have what I have, because I'm just grateful that I'm not materialistic and I'm not vain. I don't need to get Botoxed and stuff and spend all my money trying to look younger, because I don't care that I look older, because I'm my age, and I don't want to look like I'm 20, because who cares, do you know what I mean? And it actually is funny, because when I was looking at photographs of me when I was young, I was actually really attractive and I was lovely and slim and everything, but I still got treated like crap. I didn't get treated like a queen because I look great, so I don't associate being attractive with being treated nicer, because when I was at my most attractive, I wasn't treated any better than I am now. In fact, I would say that I get treated with more respect now as an older woman than I did when I was young, because my boundaries are higher now, and I'm more self-confident, and I'm not trying to please people. Whereas when I was young, I was always trying to look my best, and I thought if I looked nice, my partners would treat me better, but they all cheated anyway. They all cheated on me. So they did that regardless, and they didn't cheat on me with really attractive women. They cheated on me with ordinary women who didn't have anything going for them. They just did it because it was easy to do, because I was soft and my boundaries were in place. So I think there's a lot to be said for being older. So I actually don't care about all that stuff. I don't care about my looks to the point of I have to try and compete with another woman, because I don't care. If a woman sat next to me now and she was really, really attractive, I'd just tell her, I'd just say, you look great, you know, you look lovely, and I wouldn't care. I'm not bothered. The only time it would bother me is if I had a partner and they would try to cheat on her with me. That's when I'd be cheesed off. But just be happy with you, be happy where you are, be happy with what you have. And if you're not happy, make small changes to get to where you want to be. One of my biggest things in life was going back 10 years when my house was lovely. I had a lovely house. I had the lovely house in the worst place ever playing. So I had all that then, but I was not happy because it was the wrong location. So I got rid of a beautiful house and now I'm living in the van, but I would rather live in the van now and have this view. Look at that view. Down towards the sea, and over there the sun's starting to go down now. But look how beautiful that is. And wouldn't you rather have a view like that and have this peace and be surrounded by nice people than live on a council estate in a beautiful house that you're always scared of getting robbed, and the noisy neighbours and the ASBO behaviours and stuff like that? It was horrible down there. I don't miss that at all. So 10 years ago I had a dream, and that was to live in a place like this. So my dream has come true. So if I'm going to do this to remind myself, if ever you think I'm not going nowhere in life, just remember you're here, and from here I can go somewhere else or make something else of my life. You know, it doesn't really matter, does it? I've already achieved one of my dreams. So I am really, really happy at the minute. That can change in 5 minutes and then change back in another 10. That doesn't matter. That's human nature, you know. But anyway, I'm going to go because it's going to start getting dark soon. It's actually, hey, wow, it's 4 o'clock. It's still light. And I've just had a thought. I think it's every week from now on, it gets lighter 7 minutes earlier each week. I think it's 7 minutes. So come another month or two, the days are going to be a lot longer. So this is good now. Now we're heading back to the spring. So yes, I am going to go, but I've just gone onto YouTube Studio and replied to all the messages. So thank you to everyone for making comments and stuff. I have now replied. So when I go onto YouTube Studio, that's on the Indigo Traveller, but normal YouTube for me is I've forgotten what it's called, Gilded Heart or something, but my son has paid for the premium and he's added me as his on his profile sort of thing, so I can watch YouTube for free. But so I'm normally on that one, so I can't reply and do anything to anybody on that channel. I have to go onto the other one, and on that one I have to go onto my laptop, which I don't really use anymore. I'm more on my phone now, so I can't log into it from there. So I've managed to do my catch up, so I'm going to go now and I'm going to put my tea on, and the doggies will be going home soon, and I am back in work tomorrow. Oh gosh. And this morning I opened the window and my car was so frozen I couldn't even put the key in the door until 1:30 this afternoon. So I'm back at work in the morning. There's a chance I might not even be able to take my car dog is down there because it might be just frozen solid till afternoon. So, but anyway, I'm waffling. I will go